Hi everybody and welcome to another Kalicube Tuesdays. Today we have Mark Traphagen. Very happy to have you here, Mark.
I am so thrilled to be here, Jason. It's been way too long since I've gotten to talk with you, let alone all these fine folks. So it's great to be here.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did talk at, well, it was PubCon Las Vegas a year and a half ago. I think that's the only long conversation we've ever had. It was delightful. And I didn't get you on the podcast at that time, but it was just saving you for a better day, which is today. A quick hello and we're good to go. Welcome to the show, Mark Traphagen.
Little jazz hands is
appropriate. Yeah, oh, right, yeah, sorry, I didn't do the jazz hands, yeah. That's my favorite part of the show, other than the rest of it, when you tell me everything that you know. I just realized when I say that's my favorite part of the show, that was a terrible thing to say. Very bad start to the show.
Everything I know will be done in about 10 minutes then. So that's good. It's going to be quick. I'm going to get back to work.
This is going to be awesome. Right. At the start of the show, I always show brand SERPs, and I looked you up in New Zealand, UK, and USA, and your brand SERP is incredibly stable. There aren't very many Mark Traphagens around, which makes it a very stable one with those Twitter boxes and the image boxes. The image boxes actually don't change. You've got a very, very stable set of images. And what I noticed is in America, there is one other guy called Mark Traphagen, and he's a lawyer, and he gets one place. You can see over there on the right-hand side, poor guy, he gets one little place. And for some reason, in New Zealand, your Instagram account ranks, and in the UK, it's your Pinterest account kind of sneaks in at the bottom.
That's weird. So, I haven't used Pinterest actively for like years, so that's really weird.
All right. Well, the English are kind of just way behind on the rest of the world, and I can say that as an English person. And then I got curious and looked up SEO clarity, and I looked it up in the Kalicube knowledge graph tool, and it comes up with a company called Actonia Incorporated. And I was going to wonder who Actonia is. Went to their site. Well, so I went through to the knowledge panel. This is what I call knowledge panel hopping. And it's just leaping around and seeing what the connections are in Google's brain. And come to their site. They haven't updated their blog since 2014. That's 7 years. And the connection is that they use SEO clarity and they have a link to SEO clarity on their page. But I couldn't actually find very much more than that.
No, the reason
Google's sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, I can clear the mystery if you want.
Oh, right. Yes, go ahead. Mystery.
Yeah. I actually have an internal knowledge graph that has the answer to this. Actonia is our parent company. That's actually the company I work for. My paychecks come from Actonia. It was the agency that Middle Gandhi and Kalpesh, our founders, found as an agent. They started as an SEO agency, developed what is SEO Clarity, as their own tool to use for their clients. And the tool got better than anything they were doing for the clients. So they switched over, about 12 years ago to developing SEO Clarity as a platform, SEO platform at the enterprise level. So Actonia is our actual company.
So kind of what's interesting there is from the outside, it looks like this kind of slightly weird link that doesn't really make sense. But in fact, Google has nailed it. I suspect it just doesn't know why it's nailed it yet.
Yeah.
It hasn't figured out that parent-child kind of
Well, we never talk about Actonia in public. There's no reason to. We do, it's just, it's really just our holding company or whatever you want to call it. It's our parent company. But Actonia doesn't do anything these days other than own SEO Clarity.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't even update its blog, but then now you're here, that's going to change because you're the content guy.
Yeah. I want to make clear that the SEOclarity.net blog is extremely active.
Brilliant.
And a lot of great content. So that's where you should be looking for us, not in Actonia.
Yeah, I had a quick look, and you're doing loads of stuff. You were doing what about SERP features the other day? I can't remember the numbers. 1,200 of something and 25% of something else.
Yeah, it's actually we've updated that number since. So what you're referring to, Jason, is we track the number of individual SERP features that show up, and that can be anything from very visible things like featured snippets, or people also ask, down to little tiny alterations of what we consider the classic result. The blue link with the review stars, or internal links, all these little things that happen. We now have identified over 1,800 individual types of features that Google adds to search results. Now, the vast majority of those only show up in very particular circumstances or particular queries, or they're very small. But a sizable number of them, I think it's about 500 to 800 of them, show up in about 2% of queries. So the news is there's a lot of new things in the SERPs that, beside those 10 blue links and the 2-line descriptions that vie for space now these days.
A phenomenal number. I mean, kind of we are Roast with Paige Hobart. We're doing a study, and they were identifying kind of the big chunks, like the different types. You're now going and saying, actually, now we've got different templates. Bill Slowski was talking about templates in knowledge panels. So what Google must be doing is having these templates that they give the machine, and then the machine starts thinking, oh, I think I'll add this little bit because that might be interesting. So do you think that's what we're looking at, or is it all human built?
Yeah, no, I think you're onto it with the template idea, and they're constantly testing and shifting. I mean, a great example of that, very visible recently, has been we had yet another one of those big dips in featured snippets or answer boxes. And this one, some trackers are saying was a historic dip in terms of how low they went. The number of queries that show a featured snippet went way down back in mid-February. But now most of our results are showing that they're back almost to what they were before. And that's a common occurrence. If you look back historically, now this was a very big dip, but still it happens again and again. And recently John Mueller has gone on record saying, like, that's just normal. Like, what we're doing is we're constantly testing, where does this feature have value for users? And sometimes we shuffle it up. Sometimes we pull it back a little bit to see what happens. And then we, put them in. But when they come back, they might look a little different, or they might be on different queries. For example, my friend Lily Ray observed that in many cases, some featured snippets which she was tracking that went away in February have come back, but now they've come back as double featured snippets, which is something relatively recent, where Google will show results from 2 different sites in the same featured snippet. So they're just constantly testing what works for the user.
Right. And in this case, they just pulled the rug out from everybody's feet and then pushed the rug back under their feet. Slowly.
Well, I think the message there is, the message there is don't panic when you see that happen, because it's, it doesn't mean like, look at the bigger picture is the first thing to look at when you're doing triaging. If you lose something, like, let's say you have a featured snippet that's been really great for you, it's been driving traffic, and then one day it disappears. It, in some cases it could be because somebody else gave a better answer and Google said, like, we're going to show them now. But if the featured snippet altogether disappears, then you want to look at the bigger picture and say, like, are the tools out there saying there's been a dip because it could be something like this? It wasn't. Basically what John Mueller said is, like, it was us, not you. You didn't necessarily do anything wrong. It was just like, we're shifting up the deck now and saying, like, let's try this, this set of results and see how that works for people. It's always going to be that way.
I mean, and as you say, kind of when you lose something personally to a competitor, that's one thing. When Google actually pulls the whole rug out, that's another thing. One thing I do get a lot is clients, the few clients I do have, absolutely freaking out and panicking. And I always feel like they're kind of blaming me. I mean, it might just be my personality, but I take it terribly personally, and I don't know really what to do. It's just saying, Google are testing, and it never seems to me to be a solid enough answer.
Yeah. Well, now we're delving into the areas of human nature.
Right. Oh, whoops.
People want a face to blame, and you're the face right in front of them. Google's a faceless entity. So, that's a common thing. We get it from the other side, as a platform, as a tool provider. People will blame the tool for the results that they're getting sometimes, or have that same kind of panic. But we just try to point them back to the data and say, here's the bigger picture. Here's the steps you should take to truly investigate this. Let's get past who's to blame. Let's see what's actually happening here.
Oh, this sounds like talking to kids, basically. So
if comment.
Kind of that actually brings us into the thing about data. I mean, I get excited about data. You get excited about data, but sometimes perhaps there's just too much data, not enough insights, and as I think you're going to say, not enough action, and you get bogged down in the data. And you're saying that with all these you're saying insight platforms versus SEO data platforms. Can you explain that difference to me first?
Yeah, it's something that we are obsessive about at SEO Clarity, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so proud and happy to represent SEO Clarity, because it's the whole attitude there. So data's a commodity. And there are a lot of tools out there that can provide you with the raw data, whether you're looking for ranking data or, keyword research data, traffic estimates, all these kind of things that just are de rigueur for SEO platforms, SEO tools. That's not hard to get, and you can provide it. And sometimes that's what people want, and you feed that to them. But our obsession at SEO Clarity has been to go beyond that. And it really is a shift in attitude at our company. Frankly, like a few years ago, like a lot of SaaS platforms, our obsession was people using our platform, right? And that's how we measured success. How much are people using, and why aren't they using this part? And we've shifted that significantly internally from what is our measure of success? It's our client's success. It's our users' success. Are they being successful at SEO? Are they achieving the business goals that they're doing SEO for? And that's not an insignificant attitude. So what that's in our innovation, in our technology, we still provide, the best possible data. We provide more of it than anyone else. It's all there under the hood. But our obsession has been with providing a platform that provides, as you said, insights that lead to action. So going beyond just providing the data to what does this mean? How do you prioritize it? What do you do because of this data? And that's what the tools that we're building today are all oriented around that.
Right. I'd just like to clarify one thing is I didn't actually say, well, I did say it, but I didn't. It wasn't me who initially said it, insights leading to action. I just read it off the screen from your blurb that you wrote for me. So credit where credit's due. I was just reading off the screen. But I'm developing Kalicube Pro as a SaaS platform. And one thing that struck me is I can give them all the data I want, and it makes all the sense in the world to me. And I can say, I can see in this data, you should do that. And it would lead to this result. And everyone just looks at me completely blankly. And what they need and what they want is, here's what the data means to you specifically. Here's what you need to do. And here's the prioritized list of what you need to do. And that's what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So, our front line, there's a lot of things we're doing, that are more maybe sexy and subtle than this, but our front line, the one that I'm extremely excited about, we introduced last fall, is called Actionable Insights. And it's right. It's all there in the name, right?
Perfect,
we put it all together. And it's, I hope that for many of our users, it's becoming the portal to our platform. It's like where they should go first, even before going to dashboards, reports, or anything else, ranking reports, whatever. Because what Actionable Insights does is it uses AI technology to look at well over 150 individual insights about your site, about your traffic, your performance. We concentrate on what we call 3 areas, which are usability. That's everything technical about your site. Authority, obviously, is things like links and things like that. And then relevance, which is content and how well your content matches up with what Google wants to show to searchers. So Actionable Insights covers all 3 of those areas. And it not only, alarms when it sees something, either can be a problem, a potential problem, or it can be an opportunity. But it also explains to you why that is. And every single one of those insights we've vetted. They are either tested by us, tested by our clients, or from reliable information from sources such as Google. Google has definitely said, like, this is a thing that will affect your site. Then we provide the information of why that's important. We provide a suggested prioritization level for that. We give you full information on what to do about it, what action to take. That goes into an integrated task management system. So you can assign it to somebody, your department, to take care of this. They go on it. They get a brief about, here's what the problem is. Here's where it is. Here's what I do to fix it.
And one thing, kind of with that whole kind of what to do thing, I use a lot of these platforms from time to time. I used SE Ranking the other day. They've got a really nice kind of system where they've got these explanation text that you can show. And I think all of these sites have that little bit. SEMrush have one as well. That I find kind of really useful, in the sense that the number of reports that I have seen, that's the thing as well. The few clients I do have, what they do is they pull this report out the drawer and it's about this fat. And they say, well, I got this, paid 5,000 euros or whatever for it. I've never looked at it because I don't understand what it's talking about. There are 2 problems, one of which is the report is too fat. The second of which is the report doesn't actually just tell you what to do. It gives you all the numbers, and everyone thinks that's incredibly impressive in our industry. Not everybody, obviously, I'm exaggerating, but and so from a geeky point of view, you go, look at all this data, isn't it interesting? And we forget that our customers, the people actually trying to do something with their site, don't know what it means, don't know what the insights are, and don't know what the actions to take are. And do you think the entire industry is moving that way? That everybody's starting to kind of get the idea that we need to provide insights and actionable insights. Sorry, I'm coming back to your name again.
I would hope so. I honestly think that we're out in front of it. What I see, and I keep track of what our competition is doing, and everybody can say they have something like this. Not everybody, but a lot of the tool providers have can give you a list of issues, like you said, or the basic raw data. I think we're taking a step beyond this. If you took a demo of Actionable Insights, you'd see that it's really like having a 24/7 SEO analyst on staff who is just doing nothing, who never sleeps, and is looking at, who not only knows how to identify the issues and can trigger them and alarm them, but has the experience behind them to know this is the most important ones in this order, and this is what we should do about them. So
we're all going to be out of a job.
Well, no, somebody still needs to do the work. But here's the thing, like that, really, and because most of our clients are enterprise level, the scale is huge and the demands on them are huge. So the challenge for them always is minimizing that time going from data, as we said, to insights to action. And the lag that, especially when you're talking out of a site with millions of pages, the lag has always been, you get the data, and then the time that it takes to do the proper analysis, to boil it down to what matters, what do I want to look.
Oh, we've lost your sound, I'm afraid. I'm not sure where that's coming from, if it's the connection. We can still see you, so you must still have a connection, but we've lost the sound completely. In which case, I still can't hear you. Can you not hear yourself either? Oh no, my lucky charm, Anton isn't here. And as soon as Anton isn't here, everything goes horribly wrong. Sometimes it's my video connection, and today
I'm back.
Mark's sound. Brilliant. So
yeah.
Anton must have just tuned in, because when Anton tunes in, everything sorts itself out.
So I have a tendency to I've got to change my setup here, because I have, my mic is a USB mic, and I have a tendency to reach over and then hit the connection with my hand and loosen it. So that's what happens. So
right, because you're waving your hands around like some...
I talk like basically the technical fix for this is I need to tie my hands to my desk when I'm doing a live show.
Right. Okay.
So trying to go back to where I was when I cut myself off.
It's getting this massive data and actually saying, what do I need to do? And give that job to somebody, and that job is clear. One of the big problems I have is you say, I've got all these 301s and 404s. Can I just give it to somebody as a list to say, go to that page and correct all of these links? And the answer is, it's actually quite difficult to just pull that information out of any tool.
Yeah. So what we wanted to do is, like, we saw, we talked to our clients, we observed how they work, we listened to their pain points, and we saw at the enterprise level where the lag was for working at the scale that they have to work at, was between, they can see the data, they get the data, and then it's the amount of time it takes to analyze that data, to decide, where's separate the signal from the noise, and decide what's priority, what really is an issue that needs to be fixed first. What we're trying to do with Actionable Insights is eliminate that gap, like take that away, so that you can move straight to, these are the things we need to do, here's how we need to do it. And then the second problem that we're looking to solve is, again, at the enterprise level, you're talking, sometimes now about an SEO team. It's not just one person working on. And often that team will be made up of more junior members who are expected to do the work, but they don't have the experience behind them. So we wanted to make it as easy as possible to say, once the senior has looked at the Actionable Insights report, they've accepted, these are the priorities it's saying, I like those, I think that's right. They click it into the task manager, they assign it to one of their junior people. Everything they need, it's a whole brief. Everything is there about the issue and exactly what they need to do to fix it. And then within our own system, it tracks like if that, because we're constantly monitoring these things. Every time you open Actionable Insights, it's real time. It goes through your entire crawl. It goes through your content, your link, everything to analyze it in real time. So we know if it's been fixed and we check it off your to-do list.
Right. Because I was thinking the other way around. Is there not a problem that you go in expecting to see a task that you haven't yet completed and the task has disappeared? But then if that's the case, it's that the task is no longer necessary.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so you don't even have to do, remember to check it off, and that, it'll show is done because we can see it was done. Right. So we're trying to, integrate that. We're also now moving into integrations with the kinds of task management systems that our clients are using, such as, Asana and Jira. We're building integrations for those so that you can seamlessly move those tasks right over to the thing that because some of them you're going to have to engage your IT department, your content department, so to be able to manage those well.
On a kind of philosophical level, kind of what appears to have happened is, I remember the days when we used to have like pages and we would count words in them and create lots of pages and you do it all manually. And then all this data turned up, as it were, from one day to the next, it just appeared in all these tools. And as you say, it became very quickly very overwhelming. And as agencies and experts, we had to actually kind of try and boil it all down in our heads and say, here's what you need to do. And the next logical step, you're right, is that the machines can do that for us. And that actual analysis becomes redundant because the machines can do it, because it's all fairly mechanical, which basically just leaves us to build content.
Yes. And, that's such a great point. The other thing is that you got to think about for an enterprise SEO, again, what are they evaluated in their annual evaluation or whenever they're evaluated? What increases their paycheck? It's not how much analysis they did. Nobody cares. Nobody in the C-suite looks like, oh, you did tons of analysis. We're going to reward you for that. It's results at the end of the day, right? It's like how many, how much more traffic. Ultimately for SEO, it's going to be how much more traffic did you drive the site through organic search? So that's why it's so critical, for the SEO to eliminate as much of the grunt work as we can of analysis. Let us do that. Let us grind through that so that you get to the actual action that leads to the gold stars on your record that people look at. Again, it's back to that change in attitude. I just want to say quickly, at SEO Clarity is that our change in attitude has been like moving from like people being successful at our platform. We don't care about that anymore. We want you to be successful at SEO. If we make you a star within your organization, then our platform has been a success for you.
Yeah, I love it. Kind of that brings to mind two things. One thing I never understood until reasonably recently is that if I want to keep a client happy, I actually need to keep the person opposite me happy and help them keep the person opposite them happy, and so on and so forth. And obviously needs to keep the person above or opposite them. And it's this kind of chain reaction where you're saying, in order to keep this client, I need to keep that person moving forward in the eyes of the person behind them and the person behind them and so on and so forth. And the second one is you just talked about pulling in traffic. And what we're now looking at more and more, I feel, is what you said earlier on about SEO Clarity, is the measurement of success of the platform is not how many times people log in. It's what success they have. And then we need to be able to measure that success. And that success needs to be success in their eyes.
Yeah. That's so important to us that we actually change the way that we evaluate our client success managers, the people who work directly with our clients. It used to be on platform usage. How much are their clients using the platform?
Right.
It's totally switched over now to the actual success of the client. Like we are evaluating them on the same things that the client is getting evaluated on by their superiors. So, at the end of the day, like if you're a client success manager with SEO Clarity, are your clients over the course of the year getting more traffic to their sites because they've used SEO Clarity and you've helped them to use it better? So, that whole mindset, it's a whole corporate mindset. Like we're behind our success is your success. That's a slogan that everybody has, right? But it's become our heartbeat and what drives everything we do. Like we don't do innovations anymore for, I don't know if we ever did, but we don't do innovations for innovation's sake, just to be sexier, flashier. Like this would be a cool thing to do. But we ask before anything new we do, what will this do? Or will this do anything to make our clients more successful at SEO? That's got to be the driver.
And do you ask your clients if they think it will be successful? But are they the best judges if you do? The question is, like, as a client, I think, oh, that might be really cool, or that might be really helpful. And it turns out not to be helpful at all.
Yeah, I mean, almost all of our innovation comes from our clients.
Right.
It's always been a policy at SEO Clarity that, basically we say, like, if any two of our clients ask for something and it's possible to do, we'll build it.
What happens if they're having a beer at the pub round the corner? Obviously not at the moment, and they get together and they both decide to ask for something, even though it's completely useless.
You're getting into the bylaws and the codices of that clause. Like, if they are both together in a pub and they've had more than 2 drinks, then it's disqualified. But
brilliant, wonderful, love it.
But like we've actualized that now to, like, we have a much more involved portal for our clients that we're delighted because our clients are really actively using it for. It's kind of our own product hunt, internal product hunt that clients can see, that we put up everything we're thinking about doing, everything that's been suggested. Clients can upvote, can put in feature suggestions, can upvote them, can interact with them. And plus, one of the things I've been actively involved in pioneering at SEO Clarity has been a beta program for every new product or feature we come out with. So we get a cohort of clients who say, like, yeah, I'd like to try that out and test that. And then we interact with them, and nothing gets introduced to the broader client base until it's been through this rigorous beta program. And 90% or more of the great things that all of our clients end up loving about anything we do invariably came from that beta group and their feedback to us. So it's extremely valuable to us.
And I mean, this brings to mind kind of in the larger sense of the world. I mean, I think kind of I tell my clients an awful lot, why don't you go and ask your clients, or ask the salespeople who are talking to your clients, or the after sales people who are talking to your clients, what are the questions they're asking? What are their problems? And that whole kind of FAQ section thing is saying, well, why don't you just start answering the questions that everybody's asking all the time? And it will have 2 effects, one of which you will understand your client better, but secondly, they will stop asking the salespeople that question, or the after sales people, and save everybody some time.
Yeah, it's definitely the most valuable resource, and not just for us, but for any business. If you can find a way to listen to your customers, and then to get, like, groups of customers who are actively invested and involved in that, like, it's become so precious to me that I actively and take the time, because I use, in my job, I use a lot of tools, I think, from other companies, and if I get invested in a tool, it's important to me, then I will get involved in its community if they have one.
Right.
And be there to give the feature suggestions and to say what's working and not working for me. And the tools I love the best are the ones that I know are listening. And
right. So I'm sorry I sounded so surprised, but it's one of those moments you think that's so obvious, and I just hadn't really thought it through.
Yeah, but sure, not everybody's doing it, for sure. But the ones who are doing it, are getting incredible value from it. Yeah, it's cliche, but just because it's cliche doesn't mean everybody's doing it. Like, your customers are definitely your most valuable resource for innovating your product, for figuring out what you should do next, and just listening. So like, we do regular executive business reviews with our largest clients, and again, we've shifted that. That's another attitude shift, right? And this can apply to anybody out there. If you work with clients, if you're an agency, whatever you are, I think shifting from, when you have an opportunity to do a kind of, dog and pony show before a client, it's your annual review, whatever it is, don't just make it a big PowerPoint presentation with all of, this is what we did, this is, we accomplished. I mean, you got to have that in there.
Yeah.
But as much as possible, make it a listening situation. So we, shifted, like we're not happy with an executive business review with a client if we've done more than half the talking. So we build in, points like where we're constantly asking them, like, what are you seeing? What, happened with you? Like, we make it as much a listening session, and we are listening and we're taking notes during that. And, that's, so much of that, since we shifted to doing that, has resulted in fantastic innovations that are benefiting all of our clients now.
Right. I've actually got a technique for that when I'm sitting with clients or on webinars and things. I have a piece of this delightful book, and I have "stop talking" written in big letters on it. So as things go, I keep glancing at it and go, oh, right, okay, I've got to stop talking. And it's actually surprisingly effective, because it's one of those things that you start talking, as I've just done now, and you go blah, 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 and you keep talking, then you look down and you think, that's right, I'm actually supposed to be listening and not talking.
Yeah. In fact, I've noticed over the past year that when we're doing, practice sessions or prep sessions for a major executive business review or any meeting with a client, if our, founder middle's involved, occasionally, like, he'll say, like, oh, this, you should use this detail or use this stat instead of that stat. But 90% of what he's doing during that session is like, okay, blah, 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 fine. When's the last time you asked a question for the client to answer? That's the number one thing he wants to hear now in these reviews is like,
right.
Like we actually build in now to these presentations, preset moments to reminders, like it's the, stop talking in our notes, like where we ask an open-ended question to the client to get them talking, because that's really the most valuable moment for us.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. So it's actually kind of, if you've got a presentation, it's have the stop talking slide in the middle of that, but it doesn't say stop talking. It says start talking, because it's addressed to the other people in the room. Yeah.
I mean, it's a tip people can use. It's like if you're doing a presentation to somebody, whether it's a sales presentation or a client presentation, whatever, build it right in there. I put the question on the slide. Every once in a while, I'll put a question, an open-ended question on the slide. Like, what's been your experience with this, or how has that been working for you, or something like that, that makes them talk and share their experience. Because that's where you're going to get the gold.
Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of think as a human race in general, a lot of us have a lot of trouble actually shutting up and listening. And some people obviously don't have that problem, and they are very good listeners. But the salespeople in particular would tend to talk too much. Sorry if anybody out there is offended by that. But I talk way too much, which is why I do this podcast. It's good practice for me to let you talk. So wrapping up on, kind of, what would you like to what are the takeaway points? Because I really like the idea of going, I've got all these metrics, I want to get the insights, and I want to take it to actions. And other than using the platform, which we've gone through, kind of pragmatically, what's the approach we should be having? I mean, I have an approach as I get dug down into the metrics and then forget to do the rest.
Yeah. I think overall, the approach that, I would want people to take away in their own work is, to think at scale all the time. Right. This is what, the biggest learning that I've had to do in the past year being with SEO Clarity has been this, is like to think at scale. Like, what can I do? I've found a way to do something. I've found an answer to something. I found a solution to a problem. The next question should always be, how do I scale that? How do I take that to a level where, where I can do it at large scale across my whole site, across my whole client base, whatever it is that you're dealing with, because you're not going to be able to level up without doing that. You've always got to be thinking, how can I make that scalable? How can I turn that into a process? How can I automate that? Whatever the solution might be, I think that's so critical today to get anybody that's looking to grow. You're going to hit a ceiling somewhere if you don't learn to think in process thinking, you think in scalable thinking. How can I turn this into something that now I can kind of set and forget, and we'll build out at a large scale, so I can go on to the next higher thing and do the more important work that needs this thing, needs my brain, for those of you listening.
Absolutely brilliant. That's an amazing conclusion. I mean, I think that's all very, very quotable. So thank you very much, Mark. Next week, we're going to have Bill Slawski talking about entities and knowledge panels. Luckily, he's feeling better and he's going to be back on. He wrote a couple of articles at the end of last year that I really wanted to talk to him about. And since then, I've written the article in Search Engine Journal about the knowledge graph. He's been talking about knowledge panel templates. I'm getting a bit overexcited about all of this, and I'm sure I will bore everybody's senses with it next week. Thank you very much, Mark. A quick goodbye to end the show. Thank you, Mark.
It's been wonderful to be here, and I'd gladly come again.
You would be welcome. Thanks a lot, man. Brilliant. Oh, the hands. I'm actually trying to end the broadcast, and my mouse is lost. I've done the hands. Now I'll do the end broadcast. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.